Shavua Tov, everyone. Tonight is the seventh candle of Hanukkah, and I will be taking you on a tour and a trip to Tunisia. I went to Tunisia for Lag BaOmer, May 2022. I will show you a few things very briefly, and sometime this winter, hope to take you on a full hour presentation on the country. Today will be really just a little taste of it. The reason I chose to go to Tunisia is because my mother was born in Tunis, the capital of Tunisia, and I wanted to explore my heritage, the country where she grew up, and really where half my family, my Sephardi family, came from. I will share with you a screen. There we go. And what you have here is the Mediterranean Sea. Here is Italy, right? The boot of Italy. Here is Greece. Greece is over here. France, Spain, and here is North Africa. And in North Africa, we have Tunisia. Tunisia has I take the cursor now around the Mediterranean. It has very large coast. And then, of course, it has some in-country, but it's kind of a thin, some mountainous area over here, but it's mostly a coastline. This is Libya, this is Egypt, and Israel is off to the right, off to the east. So here is Tunisia, and I'll just take you for a little bit of information and about the country. Tunisia is a republic. It, as I said before, located in the North Africa and the Mediterranean Sea. Tunis is the capital city. In the 1940s, which was the subject of my master project, there was a Jewish population of 80,000 Jews. In the city of Tunis, more than half the Jews, as typically, almost half the Jews, lived in the city of Tunis itself. The flag that you see here and that Sharon has on her computer background is really a copy of the Turkish flag. It's very, very similar. And just to point a couple of things, it has red, maybe part of the martyrdom or the revolution with the red, white representing peace, the 5-star representing Islam with the five bases of Islam, and then the crescent moon, of course, a very Islamic type representation. During my trip, we went to the island of Jerba, where the Lag BaOmer party occurs every year, and thousands of Jews go from France, from Israel, and from around the world, the Sephardim or people with Tunisian background, go to the island of Jerba once a year to celebrate Lag BaOmer. So here is Niema, myself, and my friend Sivia Hoi, which I met on the trip, and the two of us here are in an Al Ghariba synagogue. You can see the beauty of it. It's a Sephardi synagogue, and during Lag BaOmer, men and women are pretty much mixed together. Women and men light candles and make special prayers. And then outside in the courtyard, there is music and an auction. And the auction is the annual fundraising for the synagogue. So it's a very, very important part of their livelihood to run a large event with music and food and the fundraising for the synagogue. So yeah, Al Ghariba synagogue. Now I'm going to some of the videos and hopefully it will work. There's a little bug, but let's see how it goes. So I want to show what it looks like and what it sounds like. So the music is as typical in Arab country. The Jews have influence of of the neighboring countries, and the Jewish music sounds like Arabic music. I have another video. I hope it will work. Not this one. This is the inside of the synagogue. To give you some idea of what it looks like. It's really beautiful, beautiful old synagogue. More of the, okay, I'll stop it for a second. There is actually an auction going on, and I'll show you in the cursor. The cursor is right here. That's where the auctioneer is. Let's continue. Right here. Okay. In the future, I'll show a little more about the auction itself. We'll go into a little bit of the history of Tunisia. In the 9th century, before the Common Era, the Phoenicians established the city of Carthage, or Carthago. There are two different ways of pronouncing Carthage or Carthago, which is today's Tunis. So it's the northern tip of the country was Carthage. You may be familiar with Hannibal. Hannibal lived in Carthage, and he started the Second Punic War against Rome. He went from Carthage to Spain. From Spain, he went through the Alps. He went through he went through Paris. He went through France and the Alps, and went down from the Alps down to Rome and fought and won, and then he lost, of course, and died, and so on and so forth. Maybe one day we'll just talk about Hannibal. That's a presentation all by itself. I'm skipping over the Arab conquest. I'm skipping over the Turkish Empire that conquered the whole northern Mediterranean. North Africa, and jumping into the French Protectorate, because that's the era that was subject of my paper, of my master paper. 1881, French conquered Tunisia, and really along with Morocco and Algeria, and they became a French protectorate, and then part of the Vichy government during World War II. During the war, the Germans occupied the country for 6 months, which was the subject of my paper. I'll talk about it in another presentation. And then the country achieved independence in 1956. Just for a reference, the World War II ended in 1945. Israel declared independence in 1948. And as you know, many countries were declaring independence against, like India and other countries that were colonial, part of the colonial French, British, and so forth. So the country became independent in 1956. I went the wrong order. 1 second. Sorry, we've been there. And I put a few images from my trip. These are the beautiful girls who live in Jerba. They dress beautifully. They grow up religious. They're very traditional. They get married young, and they have babies. And there were a lot of young women with babies coming to the Lag BaOmer. And they're really lovely. They speak English. They speak Arabic and French. They're multilingual. They're lovely, lovely people. They raise their children very beautifully. Here's another candle lighting. I think this is Azizi Brom, who ran our trip. That's Azizi. I think that's his wife. I forgot her name for the moment. And a girl, a local girl that's lighting candles. This is Sigal, one of the girls from our trip. She loved it. She has ancestors who still live in Jerba, and she visited them on Shabbat, and she was so moved by the whole experience of going to the trip. Here she is with her cell phone, actually, right next to the Al Ghariba monument, entrance to the synagogue. So that's Sigal. What else we have? Oh, Tunisian sandwich. They make the bread. It's like fried bread kind of thing. They put in it tuna. There's always tuna and egg and olives and spices. Okay, so that's Tunisian sandwich. Fricassee, it's called fricassee. Tunisian cakes. I'll go over some recipes again for another time. This is kosher meat that was available because they did barbecue. Actually, I don't know if this is kosher. This may be street food. I don't remember for the moment. Well, you are in the Mediterranean, and there were tourists around, so obviously there are camel rides offered to tourists. So I didn't really take advantage of it, but it was offered anyway. It was kind of fun. What else do I have here? Just really briefly. Okay, we're done with that. I have a few other pictures, but I think I'll keep them for another time. So I will go again and again, and I loved it, and that's pretty much my conclusion for this trip. Again, just to get your interest in Tunisia. And in the future, I'll do report on my master project on the Jews during World War II in North Africa, and also maybe more about my trip. And now I would like to start with the candle lighting. Rabbi, are you ready for candle lighting?
I'm going to turn that over to you, having already done it. But can you just tell us, Niema, anything about the government of Tunisia now? Their current government?
The current government, okay. The Arab Spring started in 2009 by a Tunisian merchant, fruit merchant.
I'm sorry. I meant to mute myself, and I muted Niema. Sorry, Niema.
Okay. During the Arab Spring, it started with a fruit merchant in Tunisia burning himself, setting himself on fire and dying. And that really what started the Arab Spring in 2009, 2010. And then the government changed. Ali was the president at the time. I believe he escaped from the country. And they have another government now for the past 12 or so years. They have said anti-Semitic statements in the past, but they are aware that Morocco has relationship with Israel. They know that the other Arab states are warming up, and in today's Yediot newspaper, there is a discussion that the new Netanyahu government is very interested in drafting some form of peace agreement or some kind of relations with Saudi Arabia, with MBS from Saudi Arabia. So it's no longer vogue in the Arab world to be anti-Semitic and hate Israel. Of course, they practice that in Iran wholeheartedly, but in the rest of the Arab world, there's a warming trend. There were some minor anti-Semitic incidents because there are still 1,000 Jews in Jerba and about 500 in Tunis. So very few. The country is mostly Yugd and Rhine, as you can imagine, like most of the Arab world. But they are aware of Israel and the business that they can do with agriculture, medicine, and so forth. They encourage the trips that we take for Lag BaOmer. They know that many Israelis coming, thousands of Israelis have come over the years. It's it helps their tourism. The country lives on tourism. It has some agriculture. It doesn't have a lot of natural resources. Some of the population has mediocre education system, as you can imagine. I'll go over some of it maybe in the future. So they encourage travel, and I think, based on the report that I read from Israel, that over the years I think they will more toward the Jewish state.
When did you go?
The best time to go is during Lag BaOmer. It's in May usually.
So you went recently?
I went in May 12th of this year for 12 or 13 days. I traveled with Israeli group. We had extra security. On the other hand, because I'm an American citizen, I didn't need to go with Israelis because there's certain vulnerability. When you go with Israelis, you're a big target. But you know, I got a lot of explanation, a lot of information, and of course, I went with people who grew up in Tunisia. Some of the Israelis were babies and grew up in Tunisia, and they're immigrated when their parents immigrated, 1940s, 1950s. So, you know, people who were in their 70s, 60s, 70s still remember growing up there. And yeah, go ahead, Lena, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I've been to Morocco with my husband, and is Tunisia very similar probably to Morocco in terms of French influence, in terms of Morocco was very highly populated with Jews, and you know they had like a quarter million Jews there, and it's very friendly to Israelis. But merchants and stuff. But since it was very close to boot of Italy, when they had when after the 40s, do you know if Tunisian Jews left for France, or did they, because they were French, just like in Libya, they were Italians, so they
Right.
were left for Italy. But are you aware of what happened? And
Yeah. Libya, which is to the east of Tunisia, was a Italian protectorate, and the Italian language and the Italian education system and so forth influenced Libya. Tunisia, as well as Morocco and Algeria, were French protectorate, and they had French school and French language, French food. French citizens migrated to North Africa to do business, and for those who, to live there. So yeah, strong French influence to this day. I have very little bit of French, but the 50 words that I know in French helped me a lot because I was able to communicate with them, with the local population. So yeah, they speak French. They speak some Arabs, and again, I know 50 words.
It's a dialect, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, dialect. Yeah.
But their cooking is influenced by, I think they do, like in Morocco, they do tangine, a lot of tangine cooking, and but we found that it was almost looked like a World War III went through Morocco there. It's very not only poor, but very disappointing. I don't know how Tunisia is. Maybe it's a little bit more sophisticated.
Maybe. I was impressed with women right. Actually, from all the Arab countries, it has the women have
freedom,
equality. Yeah, there's more equality, and more women go to work. They don't have to wear covering. They dress more modern. Yeah, and yeah, they're freer, and they have there's a nice feel about it in the country. Of course, a lot of them look like my aunts and uncles, the people there. So I kind of felt very much at home. Yeah.
We did have to have a protection. So you did mention that there was a lot of gypsies also.
Well, there are Berbers in North Africa. So Berbers is the large part of the population. I'm getting into a lot of information that really part of a different, not part of the Hanukkah. But I promise you that I will do more research on the country in general, and maybe I'll do two presentations, one on the Holocaust related to World War II and the Holocaust, or maybe another one about tourism and geography and those kind of things. But really, it's Hanukkah, and it's also Erev Christmas, so I hope everyone will enjoy their Chinese. We're going to Indian food, rather, tonight. So it should be fun. Sharon, what are we doing next? Do we do the raffle or the candle?
We can do either. Let's do the raffle, and just for the record, because Carol wants me to put this on the record, who I am. For those of you who don't know me, I think everyone on here does. My name is Sharon Sachs. I'm the Vice President of Finance at Congregation Rodeph Sholom in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And once again, pinch hitting for Carol. And learning about Hanukkah around the world, we've now been to Paris, Guam, Guadalcanal. We were in person at the synagogue at Rodeph Sholom on Wednesday evening. We then traveled to Hawaii, the Philippines, and tonight with Cantor Niema, we were in Tunisia. So we've learned the history of Jews and stories of their experiences in all those places. Maybe not exactly how they celebrate Hanukkah, but a nice flavor of how the Jews in these different areas of the world live their lives. So I'm going to now show you my quote of the day, and then we're going to do the raffle, and then we're going to conclude with the candle lighting. So I am going to share my screen, I think. And I did find a picture with 7, showing a menorah that has the 7th night. And the quote, "This is what Hanukkah is about, trying to survive the darkness on the far-fetched hope that there's still some life and light left in the universe." And this is Rabbi Lawrence Kushner. And I looked it up because I thought it was the rabbi who wrote the book, but that was Harold, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. So not sure if they're related. Marcy looked it up. They're not related.
Sharon,
Yes.
do you know how old that quote is?
How old it is, I don't. Does
My
someone else
first
know?
reaction, my first reaction to that quote is it's depressing in a way. There's a depressing note to it. So does he mean the current world, or is this something he said many years ago and it can be generally true?
You know, that's interesting. So I'll have to look that up because this was
He's 79 years old.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm trying
when
to
did
find-
I know, I'm looking.
Marcy's trying to, I have my elf here trying to look up the date. It was the date on, and none of these quotes had the dates. And I guess I really should have done a little more research, but Lisa, that's a really good question. And
Don't worry,
see
Sharon,
if-
I'm just curious.
Okay.
Is it meant to be more specific to this time, or if you just,
I think these are, because there was Anne Frank. I mean, I think there were some of the other quotes. I think this list of quotes is from a wide span of years, it would be my guess.
so this quote could be appropriate for any time, but just seems so appropriate for now that it's sad.
Correct.
Lisa, it appears that this came from 2010.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A
I feel
writing
better.
piece that was entitled, "I'm God, You're Not. Observations on Organized Religion."
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, well, there you have a little bit more history of the quote.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we are going to move along to the raffle, and then I'll send it back to Nima for the candle lighting. So once again, I'm going to have Marcy draw the winning name. Dun, da, da, da. Rabbi Eisenberg. Once again.
I think I have to turn this one over to Judy.
Okay,
So-
well, that's your call. You double, and all the names are in here, honest.
Well, we'll probably turn these over to the homeless. And-
That's very nice.
Yep.
Very, very nice.
But is that 2 in a row? No. I
Last
didn't
night
win
was
yesterday.
Jackie. Yeah,
Right, Jackie.
yeah, last night was
Oh,
Jackie.
and before the candle lighting, I think this should go on the archives, also on our recording, that this week we have been to an Hanukkah around the world, Guam, the Philippines, Paris, Hawaii, Tunis, and Bridgeport. How does that work?
Yeah,
And
that's true.
we've gone to from the exotic to the more exotic.
Right. With our friends from the Church of the Apostles.
Yes. That was a very beautiful evening, by the way. Just absolutely wonderful. Wednesday night with the church members celebrating
Agreed.
Hanukkah together. It was incredible.
Really special.
Yep.
Okay, I'll pick it up now with the, I'll spotlight the Hanukkah, the candelabra here, and light it up. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של חנוכה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשה ניסים לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. הנרות הללו אנו מדליקים, הנרות הללו אנו מדליקים, על הניסים ועל הנפלאות, על התשועות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה, על ידי כהניך הקדושים. וכל 8 ימי החנוכה הנרות הללו קודש הם, ואין לנו רשות להשתמש בהם, אלא לראותם בלבד, כדי להודות ולהלל לשמך הגדול על ניסיך ועל נפלאותיך ועל תשועותיך. This is a traditional saying or singing of the kind of the laws of Hanukkah, that we are grateful to God on the miracles, and we are lighting candles, but we are not allowed to use them. We can enjoy them, but we cannot use them for light or for reading, right? They're just there to enjoy, to look at and to enjoy, and to remember the miracles.
That's very nice. Thank you, Niema. And thank you for your lovely presentation. It was very, very informative. And thank you so much. Before we conclude, just want to remind everyone, tomorrow evening, Sunday, the 8th candle, the last night of our Hanukkah around the world. We'll meet at 7 again, 7 p.m., and we will be traveling to Alaska. So we'll hope that everyone will be able to join us again tomorrow evening for the 8th and final candle of this year's Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm. And dress warm for Alaska.
Warmly for Alaska, yeah.
Put on fur coats.
I don't know,
Trust
Rabbi,
me, I'm going to have all the
cold
fur.
as Antarctica, but maybe.
We don't have to go to Alaska to be
Gonna
cold, trust
That's
me.
true.
Alaska came to us.
It did. It really did. Okay, everyone, have a good evening.
Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
Niema, I'm gonna
Thank
stop
you.
Thanks,
the
Marcy.
recording.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Name
Niema.
mentioned on the morning.